there's really no law that defines child molestation. But when you look at different laws, you find provisions dealing with issues of child molestation. For starters, of course, we know that Nigerian law has its definition of who a child is. There are various definitions, but the more acceptable one is that a child is somebody who is not above the age of 18. That's the provision that the Child Rights Act gives. And when you talk about the issues of children, really, the Child Rights Act is key because it covers a whole lot of issues involving children care. So we generally take that as a standard definition of the age of a child, and that's Section 277 of the Child Rights Act. Now, for child molestation, like I said, there's no legal definition that defines it, what it means. But we have some definitions, dictionary definitions, for instance, and other people's definitions. But generally, child molestation involves the forcing or enticing of a child to take part in violence. Sometimes there could be an element of violence or force. Sometimes there is none. And of course, child molestation usually involves an adult and a child. And really, generally, when you talk about child molestation, it's often limited to the age of 14, a child under the age of 14, even though the definition of a child generally is not below the one not above the age of 18. It's very rampant in our society. It's very rampant, although because of cultural tendencies, there's this tendency to put it down, to hide it, because there's a stigma attached to it. A parent whose child has been molested wouldn't want to make it public. Sometimes you see cases of even in-house molestation that is even more terrible, and in such situations you find parents sadly going to any length to cover up and hiding that. But that is not the right attitude, really, I think. So, but it's a very rampant thing. It occurs in schools, it occurs in homes, it occurs on the streets, it occurs in the workplaces, it occurs virtually everywhere. So, and then of course there are forms. Well, first of all, I really think that the core problem with the society is the moral decadence. Because if everybody understands the implications of certain things and we have values that we respect, a lot of the problems we have in the society, and specifically child molestation, will be minimized. So it wouldn't even occur. So parents have a responsibility to ensure that they inculcate the right moral values into both their children and those within their areas of influence. It could be relatives staying with them, it could be neighbors, it could be other people's children. It could even be in school, wherever, even in the workplaces. So parents have that responsibility, and then parents also need to be watchful. They need to be attentive to the needs of their children. They need to create an enabling environment. Oftentimes you find out that children get involved in these things because they are isolated, because they feel lonely, they feel abandoned. The parents are not there for them, and so they seek friendship, they seek comfort. And oftentimes this in-house thing happens because you have maybe a relative, a brother, a sister-in-law, staying with you, whom you trust, and so you leave your kids in the care of such people. And when you're not there, they fill the gap. If these children need emotional or whatever, they are there to fill in. And because the children don't suspect them, because they are relatives, they trust them. And when they begin to indoctrinate them, as it were, into these things, they do it naturally. Some of these children don't even understand what they are doing. And then in that regard, parents also have a responsibility to educate their children about these ills. set limits for the children. It doesn't matter whether it's a relative or whoever it is, set limits for them. Let them understand that certain actions are inappropriate, no matter who it is from. So they shouldn't shy away from these things and keep thinking that these children are children. These days, we find children as little as 3, 4 years, 5 years, engaging in such things ignorantly because they don't know. But if they are properly tutored, they would know. And then they should also be made to report when any such inappropriate action occurs. So there are several things that parents could do.
Don't leave your home at the mercy of a stranger. Professor of Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies in University of Lagos, UNILAG, Mrs. Udombana Ngozi has called on parents to raise their children in the way of the Lord. She made this call yesterday in her office during an interview with our newsmen. While addressing the issue of child molestation, otherwise known as child abuse, she advised the public to watch one another's back. In her statement, she told parents to inculcate the right moral values into their children and those within the areas of their influence. She frowned at some parents who entrust their home in the hand of strangers, urged them to create an enabling environment for their kids instead. In addition, she asked the NGOs, the government, to do more in sensitizing the public, as that could go a long way to curb the ugly act in the society and allow the law to take its course. And that ends the news. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe.